All right, we are four adult men who are not giggling for the start of Battletech Blades of Honor, episode 18. We're keeping it in, guys. We're good. We're good to get started. Previously on this show, which, let's be real honest here, was a long time ago. The last episode was like a full month ago, so if we mess some stuff up, please forgive us. It is 3046.
We're playing D&D, right?
It is 3046 in the Battletech universe, and we're playing with the Stars Without Numbers system, just to be really clear, just to make it more confusing based on what you said. You are on a planet Lushan 8, and you are in a bit of a pickle. You recently picked up some mechs. Did you guys leave the Grand Dragon on the table or the Thunderbolt?
No, we left the Grand Dragon.
You left the Grand Dragon on the table. Okay. You had Pondo the Mad guest star as Melvin, as part of Melvin's discount mechs. It's much longer than that, but I didn't write it down. You picked up a Wolverine, a Thunderbolt, and I believe a King Crab.
It was a Star League era crab.
Star League era crab.
Yeah, regular
Not a
crab,
king.
not king crab.
Not king. Yeah.
Crab 27B.
With that, business concluded, and you having paid out thoroughly an entire year's worth of payments to this man, you return to the party which is being hosted in your honor. In attendance is, of course, Representative Thalia Schutz of the local government, Mr. Falco Holtz, who is the business sole proprietor of Lushan Industrials Limited, and the Brigade of Exiles, whose members include Bill Campus, Elizabeth July, Tony Ash, Matt Arnold, and Frederick Wang. They are the Brigade of Exiles, acting as a sort of defense point for a certain Alouette Kyeda who has fled to this world in order to evade his crimes and keep his cool sword that he stole. You have invited to this party two people who were hours away by highway: Union Representative Gustavo Coimbra and Andrea Perez, his deputy and assistant. They are arriving now, and you have a chance to talk to them now that they have been fitted with suits through a Raddosaurus-style comedy routine where a van pulled up alongside them and did a fitting and fully got them fitted on their travels at incredible expense. The old rolling tailor, as they call it.
Like in The Hangover.
I cannot remember that movie.
What a shame. Such a good one.
Instant
Quality.
classic.
Yeah.
Instant classic?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to put that up against Plato's Republic?
That's not a movie, for starters. So,
You can have things that are classics that aren't... Have you ever heard of a book before?
Why can't fruit be compared? Is that what you're coming at me with? Right
What?
now? You never heard that song either? Also an instant
Can't
classic.
fruit be compared?
It's a line from a Little Dicky song.
I don't even know who that is.
You're not
Who
familiar
is
with the
Little
poet
Dicky?
Little Dicky?
We've gotten so far away from the point. I have listed all of the factions in play here. The military would like to meet with you, but you have thus far evaded every effort of the local military to meet with you. There is a question now of who your enemies on world are. Because just to be clear above the table, you aren't leaving this planet without a mech fight. The people literally demand it. Let me be clear, audience. You're great and I like you. If you demand something of me, I actually don't give a fuck. If I ask you, that's fine. But if you're like, you must have a mech fight, I'm just going to be like, okay, I'm going to continue doing whatever I want. How about that?
The people that support Arthur by Patreon, however.
Oh yeah,
do
of
get to
course.
make
I'm
demands.
glad to hear their ideas.
So if you want to make demands, you know what you have to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a week. Thanks, James. Hey, I really appreciate you teeing up Patreon earlier today in my other show as well.
You know, there's a There's a pathological condition for that, Arthur. It's called PDA.
Patreon derangement
No,
assessment?
pathological demand avoidance is when people tell you what to do, and it makes you want to not do that thing.
Yeah.
Like
I see.
irrationally hard. Yeah.
have a
I
boss
don't
like
feel
that,
that way. Well, maybe I do, because
I have a boss like that too. It's my wife.
here's the deal. My mom went to the Federal Executive Institute for Executive Leadership, which includes the word executive twice, in the 90s. And their training courses are things like tell people to do things they're already doing so that they get used to listening to you. And I guess maybe that's fine when you work for the Veterans Affairs or for the executive branch of the federal government. It's a really bad way to deal with teenagers. And I think I've just been conditioned to not like it when someone stands over you and it's just like, you should continue doing what you're doing because I told you to do it. I immediately go, huh.
I'm not
But just to
doing
be
it
clear,
anymore.
Rad, I don't feel like doing the opposite of what the audience
Oh,
said.
no. Then you don't have PDA then.
Of course I don't, because
in-
I just said the audience wants a mech battle, and I'm going to give them a mech battle, but not because they asked for it, because we're on episode 18, and the only mech battle we had was a duel, and despite the fact I've tried to draw you guys into multiple mech battles, it has just not worked.
Battletech, gross.
I mean, one of the first concepts of NLP is what's called God-bred psychology, which is building a culture of yes in order to get more yeses. But so you might think that the audience has to manipulate you into this position, but that just means the audience is more canny than you potentially.
Are you telling me someone could be smarter than me, James? That's crazy.
I'm just telling you that sometimes you dance without hearing the music.
Ah, I see. Are you telling me that I could be easily manipulated, James?
Wow.
That's crazy. James, the master of managing up is suggesting to me that I can be manipulated? That's crazy. And you're crazy for thinking it. Okay, so you have multiple objectives. You had a plan in mind, and then you received specifically, James's character received word from a unseen internal security force contact that they would prefer it if Lucian Industrials Limited owner Mr. Falco Holtz was not around. That would solve some problems. The other two of you don't answer to the ISF. They are fully capable of contacting you through the regular chain of command, like sending you a letter, which they haven't done. But all of you have basically agreed that Falco Holtz is a dead man now. So that's where we're at. The question is, how do you want to do that? And who will be your enemies today? You meet with Gustavo Coimbra, who is wearing a very well-cut, like slate gray suit that matches his somewhat large frame. Like, he is a big guy. You can tell that this is your stereotypical American miner, with the exception of that he pilots a mining mech, which still requires all the physical strength necessary. It's not like a battle mech where, like you could throw a 100-ton punch real easily. These mechs require full physicality in order to mess around with. So this guy is absolutely jacked. What do they call it nowadays when you've got a lot of veins? He's vascular? Is that what they call it? He's a vascular guy. And he has touched it up, so he's got the like very thin chin beard, just enough to make him look distinguished, but not enough to make it difficult to groom. Next to him is his deputy and second in command, Andrea Pires. She is wearing a tan suit, and she is also very vascular, but not like a huge jack person. She's got that sort of air of someone who maybe took ballet as a kid and then never followed up with it. She has a sort of grace and flexibility and movement to her, which both of them display their various physical traits because they're running across a room towards you. And they look like they've been in an hours-long car ride and are attempting to get into a party.
We've already met them once, right?
You've called them.
You've called them. Okay.
And you invited them to this party.
One quick correction too. I think that the actual instruction from the ISF was that the ISF would prefer it if the matter resolved in the favor of the unions.
Yes.
And we were the ones that turned that into murder.
Sure, yes.
Okay, no worries.
It turns out that a country full of technically a workers' combine, would back a union. That's crazy, dude. That's insane.
Here's the problem with being an ADHD person. I feel like I had a pretty elaborate scheme in mind for all of this.
Okay.
No, I don't remember any of it. So,
No, that's
Okay.
that's the Mandela effect. You never had a scheme.
oh, okay. That sounds right too, to be honest.
All I remember is I wanted to try to discredit Alouette by getting my compatriots here to start spreading rumors that he peed himself and getting the party to call him Alouette instead of Alouette.
Sounds like a roll to me.
Well, I was trying to loop you guys into it.
This is as advanced as our plans get, right?
Yeah, that does sound like the scheme we were working on. Yes. Now it's all coming back. No, I
Real third monitor
not no to
content
that.
there.
Yes to that. Yes, and I should say. So Alouette is under the protection of this other group.
Under the Brigade of Exiles.
The Brigade of Exiles. By order of the business owner guy.
I don't think that has ever actually been said. So the Brigade of Exiles are all political refugees who fled their like nationalities.
They're like a muscle for hire organization.
Yeah, I mean, they are the guys that come in and do so. You know, this is a military controlled series of planets, right? Like literacy rates are so bad. I believe that there's something like under 40% throughout all of the Outworlds Alliance. And so military service is how they keep people in line because there's constant rioting. However, it looks bad when the military, opens fire on civilians and such. That's bad for business. What you need is a bunch of deniable black operations mercs on planet who are desperate enough to do anything you want, and you can just arrest or kill them later if they step out of line because they have no citizenship rights. And that's what these guys are. They're useful tools for the local government, and they kill local citizens for money. Alouette fits in with them quite well because, as we already know, he's a cowardly backstabber.
But he obviously has like the funds to pay them for protection.
I don't know that has ever actually been established. That's a good assumption to draw on your part, but why they are backing him has not ever been made clear to you.
So,
we also know the lady, the aristocracy lady, she wants us to help put down the Union people.
Thalia
in exchange,
asked you to put down the Union, yes.
In exchange, she would give us Alouette.
Correct.
So
she would withdraw the protections that she was doing the paperwork on for him.
Yeah. See, I think a perfect outcome would be if we could somehow get this group Alouette is with to attack and kill the head of the company, and then we step in to take them out, in the name of justice for the people of the Outworlds Alliance. So we get Alouette that way, and I've already started to see the whole concern about what happens after the old guy dies, who's going to take over. And that then leads to the Union stepping up and making sure that there is a continuity of supply from his company. But I do
remember you seeding with Thalia Schutz the idea that if Falco Holtz was dead, she could nationalize Lushan Industries into her own personal care. I remember that very clearly because I made a giant note that you're a scary person. That's what my notes say.
And the idea being obviously that the workers, are the ones that maintain the continuity of operation. But I can't think with my 7 wisdom and 8 intelligence and how we could manipulate this group into attacking Holtz.
I like how James is using the excuse of his character's bad stats to hold himself back. He's reduced his power level.
There are certain things I thought of suggesting last time I did not suggest because of it.
The only thing I could think of is we could, if there'd be some way to like essentially play the, what are they? The Brigade of what? The noble people, exiles. Would be if we could try to find some way to play them against themselves, but the only bargaining chip that I can think of that would that immediately comes to mind would be as if we could find some way to politically marry one of them to like one of us. Do like a political marriage. Like you can get back into noble society and come back to the Combine or whatever.
I don't think they're the ones that would really care that much about that. I didn't get that impression anyway. But
I think some of that might just be an act because they try to act tough because they can't go back to that lifestyle. But I'm sure it's like the like we were talking about the Matrix earlier. It's like the guy who betrays everyone in the first movie. It's like he wants to go back to the cushy lifestyle and get plugged back into the pods.
Just to be really clear here.
Yeah.
You're like that guy, and I'm like, oh, you mean Cypher? I literally know none of the other fucking team members, but Cypher?
Hey, while we're talking about NLP, the status quo is a huge motivator in NLP. So everyone loves the status quo.
I don't know that that's true. I mean,
human beings tend towards not changing. They prefer their comfort environment is continued. The more things
tell you
don't
about
change.
my man Aaron Yeager. Okay, a true visionary in reform.
So, well, look, Akari, you invited these people along, so maybe we should briefly meet with them before they do something that gets them thrown out of this place.
Yes, if only I could remember why.
I think you were just looking to start.
Character.
I think you were looking just to start shit by inviting all the people that are currently the black sheep in this community.
That sounds right. I think we want to keep all the powers that be here guessing as to what our intentions are. I think the best way to play our cards is to
play every card at once.
Play all the cards. Yes, exactly. The best way to hide our cards, I should say, is to invite everyone to the table to play. So if James is going to use the excuse that his intelligence is not high enough to think of a plan, can I use the excuse to say my character's intelligence is high enough to think of a plan, even if I can't? And then just have James tell us all his good ideas, and we'll say Akari came up with them. How about that?
Listen, that's up for James to decide. I don't want anything to do with the shenanigans.
Because I'm at a loss here. I agree that that's definitely the best outcome, but I don't know. Either I'm not remembering some details, or I'm just not a business owner in Australia to be able to know how to turn this organization against. I don't know how to motivate them to go against the business other than just offering them a lot of money, right?
So the trick is that Holtz wanted us to take care of the situation with the unionists,
right?
But if we could convince Holtz instead to go to the exiles, so they then go that way, then we need to find a way to make the exiles betray Holtz at the last moment. So I don't think it's hard to get Holtz and the exiles into a position of conflict at the same time. It's making sure that the exiles have a reason to want to turn on Holtz.
Yeah. I guess that's what I'm saying, right? How do we motivate them to go against Holtz? That's the missing piece to me.
Yeah. Now we could try and get the unionists to trick the exiles into thinking that, they'll work with them if they take out Holtz and they become allies and work together. But that's a lie, because when it all happens, the unions say, no, we didn't have any deal, and we sweep in to take out the exiles before they can tell anybody else what actually happened, and the secret dies with them.
Ideally, though, Holtz is eliminated in the process, because otherwise we sweep in, we take out the exiles, and we still have the same situation where now you have the Holtz and the unionists in a power struggle.
What you do is you get the exile, you get the Holtz to hire the exiles to deal with the unionists. You get the exiles to believe the unionists will support them if they turn on Holtz. So the exiles turn on Holtz, thinking that the unionists will work with them, and then the unionists instead point the finger at them and say, we had no dealing with these guys, and we swoop in and say, okay, well, we're going to take out these guys that just killed this important figure.
Right.
Would it be easier to just cut out the middleman and find some way to just make the exiles hate Holtz?
80% of the human race is middleman, and they don't take kindly to being cut out.
I mean, I'm thinking shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Is there some way we can just make, like, I don't know, some way we can trick Holtz into like insulting the honor and dignity of these exiles?
Now, just to be really clear, I think I implied, but it has been a long time since the last episode. Holtz regularly hires the Brigade of Exiles to solve problems like the Union for him. So turning them against him is, I mean, look, they're mercenaries. Money is always going to be on the table over pre-existing relationships, but they do have a pre-existing relationship of which you aren't totally clear of what that is.
I mean, if the simplest way, I think, would simply be to say that we let Holtz employ the exiles and we move in to support the Unionists, and we end up in conflict with the exiles that way. But we want Holtz to somehow end up in the field of play there. But the other problem there is if we align ourselves with the Unionists and kill Holtz, that we might not get what we want out of. And I'm going to assume that Alouette is not going to be in a mech cockpit. He's going to be somewhere else safe.
I think that
would be my assumption as well.
You have no evidence that he has any mech training at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this? What if I think it's safe to assume Holtz will employ the exiles in a conflict. So at the face of the conflict, we need to do like a parlay where Holtz has to come out and talk with the Unionists. And at that point, we can just kill Holtz and kill the brigade and work with the Unionists to propagate the story that Holtz was betrayed by the brigade. Right? Like we fabricate the story.
They broke the rules of parlay and we had to to respond,
Right.
And so we present ourselves as neutral third-party arbitrators.
Right.
I
was going to say, if we have the idea that the ISF is somehow involved in play, would there be a way to pass a favor up the chain to make it look like we can get some like falsified documents that Holtz bounced a check?
So this is the thing about how the ISF works, is that we don't ask for favors. We do what they want, and something will probably go our way at some point in the future.
Okay.
I didn't miss any of that. My headphones reach across the room. Dogs.
No worries. Technology.
Yeah, I think to me that's probably the most workable scenarios. We just got to get a Holtz in the line of fire so that he can be eliminated. So that's why we can talk about the Unionists now. We can talk to them about, look, here's, are you game to this, basically, essentially? And then we need to convince Holt to
hire the exiles to deal with the Union.
Hire the exiles and fabricate this situation to set up the situation. Be like, hey, look, you hire the exiles, you show up, they'll show up in their industrial mechs. It'll absolutely be a bloodbath in your favor. We'll just be there to pose as like neutral arbitrators to legitimize, what you have going down, and everybody will be happy, and you'll be able to eliminate the Union, and
we're just showing up to make the Draconis Combine look like we're involved.
Right. But then, the double cross.
Right.
Or is it a double? Or is it just a regular cross? The cross. The single cross. I don't know why they call it a double cross. Nobody ever says single cross. Arthur's muted.
I absolutely will say shit like, you've crossed me for the last time.
Okay, yeah.
But they'll never say you double crossed me for the last time.
All right, you hear double cross, you hear triple cross, but nobody ever
never
says...
hear hot cross buns, though. What are those?
No one's ever
real.
Whelmed.
Yeah.
I have had hot cross buns and they're delicious.
But what are they?
They're buns.
Yeah, I know.
I've
It's a
had them.
bun
It's
you put a
gross.
cross on the top of, but why?
Have
brown.
you not
It's
had
gross.
a
Cross on the top of, but why?
have you not had a cross bun, AP?
Not here. Not in America,
Wow, okay.
Canada, or Mexico.
Wow.
I've had
It's one
them.
of the,
I was whelmed.
Anyway,
it's one of those things that it's one of those things that because it's sold at Easter time, it's in shops from like the 26th of December onwards in Australia.
Interesting. I have never been traveling to a former. Well, America's a former British colony. A non-American British colony during Easter. I traditionally pass my Easters in the place that I live, which is not a hot cross bun territory.
I did see. I saw a meme recently that had like a picture of like fried chicken in a bun, and it said like Australia calls this a chicken burger, everywhere else calls this a chicken sandwich, and someone in the comments, quite rightly so. Clearly, an American wrote this because it's only called a chicken sandwich in America, and the rest of the world calls it a chicken burger.
It's actually also called a chicken burger in most of America as well. It's only called a chicken sandwich at fast food places. Every diner I've ever been to has called it chicken sandwich.
Well, it's only a burger if it's on a burger bun,
I wish those rules applied to literally anyone, man.
right?
I've seen people be like, "This is a burger," and serve me shit on like rye bread, and I'm like, "You don't actually know."
I've had Americans tell me it's only a burger if it's got beef.
No.
I was gonna say if we're calling anything we make on a burger bun a burger, if you were to make a ham sandwich on a burger bun, would then we go full circle back to a hamburger?
Hamburger, yeah.
We're off the rails here. Let's get back on the rails.
Yeah.
I disagree, but okay. It's all part of
Gustavo
the plan.
Coimbra and Andrea Perez approach the three of you.
I give them a chicken burger on rye.
Gustavo Coimbra takes the very tiny, because it's a party. He takes the very small one as
it's a slider. It's a slider.
Yeah, it's a slider.
I snatch it off an hors d'oeuvre plate and hand it to him.
He says,
"Try these; they're great."
My favorite. How did you know? This is. Oh, by the way, they have really heavy Central American accents.
Okay.
How did you know? It is considered a mark of honor on this planet to offer someone a chicken sandwich when you meet them.
Oh, they're very popular in the Combine as well. We just call them sandwiches instead.
He's mad dogging you in the eye to let you know that he's lying. Like, he's just flat out.
He's like, I hate these.
No, he's just like,
Oh,
why
okay.
would you hand me a chicken sandwich as soon as I walk up to you? Like, he's acting like you to you. Just to be
okay. This is me testing his social etiquette, and he passed big time.
He eats it angrily in front of you, and it's just like, so I assume you
so
did
dry.
Not... It needs mayo.
Yeah.
But they only put mayo on sandwiches and not burgers.
Not burgers. It's just
That's
got a
the
lot
real
of pepper
difference
on
that
it
they
for
don't
some
tell
reason.
you in America.
Yeah.
I assume you did not call us here to this fancy party just to feed us the finest of hors d'oeuvres that you could steal off of a tray.
Nope, that's just a bonus. I'm very pleased you could make it though, because since arriving on World, we've come to understand there's a bit of a tangled web as far as motivations and situations on World, and we've had a lot of attention thrown our way as far as getting involved in that, and fair is fair. I think it's always amenable to have all parties at the table, so to speak, when attempting to untangle these knots. So I was pleased to be able to contact you, and I'm pleased that you've made yourself available for this evening. As an outsider, I'm not particularly concerned with long-term optics on World, obviously. I'm more interested in equitable solutions.
What equitable solution do you see for our and your problems here on planet? Since I assume you are not talking to us out of the good charity of your own minds.
That would be astute. We have an expat on World that we're looking to extradite, and he's tangled in
Mr.
this web.
Kyeda.
Yes. No, well, I have no motivation to make any secrets about it. We need him. We need to take him back home to answer for crimes committed.
Well, no, he can die here as far as the show is concerned. The sword has to be returned.
I stand corrected. He belongs to us, and we're here to collect him one way or the other. And he seems to be tangled up in this dispute that you have with Mr. Holtz, and we find ourselves compelled to get involved in resolving it. So we just wanted to better understand your point of view, your perspective, and your stance in this matter.
Andrea steps forward to actually physically put herself between Gustavo and you and says, so you intend to use us, manipulate us to solve your problems?
What we're trying to say is that helping you reach your goals, we believe, is the fastest way to help us reach our goals.
Gustavo kind of sidesteps
I stare
away.
at her in her face, and even though Hiro says that from like my shoulder, I think she sees in my vision like I will walk over your body to get what I want.
All right,
But but like
once again,
you
are
I'm
seeing a
currently on
reflection
leash.
of yourself here.
Yeah.
Gustavo sidesteps out from behind her so he can fully like face your group and say, I understand. Know that we believe in a equitable and cooperative solution to the problems on planet, and I look forward to hearing your proposed solutions of how you can work with us to help solve all problems.
Can I sorry, I don't want to cut him off if he's got more to say, but I want to invite them to like maybe a slightly more like on the balcony or something. You know what I mean?
This
like
is you have not even gotten onto like in the party. They have met you.
Oh, okay.
Because you've come from the drop port where you just bought these mechs. Like they're catching up with you outside the
perfect.
party.
That's fine then. That's fine.
So we're in a private spot to support.
We're in a private spot.
Yeah.
We're sequestered.
You have not yet gone into the party with these people and caused shit to pop off.
That's perfect.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's our objective to remove both the exiles. What's their proper name? Something of exiles.
Brigade of Exiles.
Brigade of Exiles, and Holtz from the concerns of this world.
When you
And to
say
ensure-
remove Mr. Falco Holtz from the concerns of this world, can I assume that 3 noble samurai from the Draconis Combine do not mean through diplomatic measures? You are not going to invite him to join you on a tea party on your homeworld.
I wouldn't call it non-diplomatic, but Combine diplomacy seldom involves tea.
Well,
At least not the kind we're here to dispense.
So, remember that we are a combine of planets raised from workers. We feel a kinship to your
Hold on,
dilemma.
I need to edit in a hammer and sickle behind me real quick. Keep going. I understand. You feel solidarity with us. And as we all know, the best ally of the workers is foreign nobility.
Best ally of the workers is the ally that presents itself.
So you have come to us and you have told us that you would like to kill our boss, and that will solve our problems. How?
I don't believe any of us use the word kill.
That's true. But I need to be very clear that I'm not going to go run off to the media. This is not some sort of historic discussion where people are writing things down. There are no one making notes about a criminal conspiracy here. So let us be straightforward and frank. You have told me that you wish to remove him through special Combine partially diplomatic means.
Do either of you believe that you will actually get what you want from Holtz while he is alive?
Oh, damn, that's a good question. I'm going to ask you to make a skill roll to back that one up, though.
Okay.
And see, the thing is, I'm not worried about you targeting Gustavo. I'm more worried about you targeting Andrea. That's the real person you need to convince with this question.
Would you take Persuade or Leadership?
I would take Persuade with Charisma. I'll tell you what, if you want to make this into a psyops for the second time today, I will also take Leadership instead.
It's the same for me regardless.
Okay.
So, and I think I should make this wrong because I was the one that was saying it. So it's a flat roll for me. My Charisma is 0. My Persuade is +0.
Looking to hit a 7.
It's a 9.
Yeah, somewhere out there, the flag with the hammer and sickle is waving gloriously in the wind.
The Soviet anthem begins to play. There's a Richard Cheese like band in the background that starts to play.
No. It's the fake Soviet anthem from the Hunt for the Red October. For sure.
Just so it's not like 16 verses long.
Yeah. Andrea regards you as if you've made like a wild animal who you've offered tasty food to, and she's definitely considering. She's like, well, I am hungry and I think I could kill you if I needed to on my way out, so I might take that food if you left it for me. And Gustavo's already like, okay, sounds good, you sound like you're on our side. I agree, Gustavo says. I don't believe that Mr. Fackelholz will ever negotiate with us fairly. He has not done so before I became the representative for the union, and I suspect that he will not do so long after I am gone. The people that are in power do not give away their power to people like us willingly. It must be taken with force, whether that force is political, social pressure, or whether it is violence. And if you require us to help you commit such violence, he looks to Andrea as if he's, like he's on the ledge here. He's about to take the step off. She looks at Akari and just kind of mean mugs her. She looks at Siegfried and just draws a blank there because he's literally said and done basically nothing at this meeting. And then
but she's got to be able to tell, right? Like, if she's a wolf among sheep, surely she can smell her own, right? Like, she knows that the 3 people in front of her, like,
just let her
absolutely have teeth.
Let her keep
Okay, let her cook. All right.
She looks at the young Lord of Kyeda and has heard your words, and she gives him the slightest nod, and he says, okay, you tell me what situation we can help you set up in order to accomplish all of our mutual goals.
So we think that, well, I think that the best course of action is that we, from a defensive point of view, champion your cause on the battlefield against the Brigade of Exiles. We force it to a situation where we can meet at a table. We have Holtz there, and we deal with Holtz in that environment.
Okay. Gustavo turns and goes to enter the party alone without you or Andrea.
A stabber. No.
So did everyone else agree with that? Like, that was just my suggestion. Like,
I don't know what, I didn't envision anything specifically, but basically, yeah, we're looking to get them into a battlefield parlay situation. But here's the thing: if we're like, all right, we're going to arbitrate talks, and we get them in an office in a conference table, and it's a union on one side and Holtz on the other side, and us standing there, like, how does that manifest into a mech battle?
Well, I think that we have to, like, the issue has to be forced first. Like, it might even start with a mech battle where we offer terms if we are leading.
Interesting. Okay. but that involves us openly fighting the brigade on the side of the Union, right?
Yeah. Because otherwise the Union can't win. They've only got agromechs, not agromechs, but like industrial mechs.
Mining mechs, yes.
Yeah.
Right. I guess that's what I was trying to avoid by positioning ourselves as like neutral third party. It's like we have the meeting first, and then we cause the breakdown at the meeting, which we then pin the killing of Holt on the other guys. But if we're actively fighting the other guys against Holt's forces, right, that doesn't leave us much room to manipulate the story afterwards, does it?
Well, only so far as, you know, we accepted a parlay, and then they breached the terms.
Oh, okay.
And they all had to die because of that.
Yeah, I'm game, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I envision. I don't know. You tell me culturally what's the norm here, Arthur, right? Like, is it all right?
Listen,
this is
Gustavo's not here to discuss this with you. He left immediately to go to this party.
I think the problem is that there's no reason for Holtz to come to the table if he's got a merc force against industrial mechs. There is no, he can
even if we convince him, be like, hey, all right, is there a world where everybody's in their mechs and they're standing in front of each other like Civil War soldiers?
How about
online?
We
invite Holt.
Let me cook.
Let me finish.
Okay.
And then Holt comes out, and the Union guys are all there in their battle mechs, and they're obviously about to be slaughtered. And he comes out under the pretense that he's going to accept the terms of their surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just there, in our mechs, like to arbitrate the terms of the surrender. And then Holt catches like a PPC to the face, and we open fire on. Right, and then we launch an attack on the brigade, and then afterwards, disguised by the
story straight, yeah,
right, disguised by the fog of battle, right? Like we get the story straight that the brigade, right, actually betrayed Holt and killed him there, or the terms of parlay were broken, or whatever, right? Whichever the story is, but we decided to go to we go something. I guess that's what I was envisioning. I don't know if getting everybody standing around in their mechs while terms of surrender is driven is like a realistic scenario culturally in this universe. But
the other thing is that what the story that the rest of the nobles will be inclined to accept after Holtz's death is a story that benefits them the most. So if what's her role? Not governor. What's the role of the woman we were doing before? Was she
representative?
Yeah. So for example, if the representative benefits by nationalizing his factory after his death, then she's not going to be too worried about the cause of his death.
Sure.
She's going to be worried about how she then pursues that, and having good terms with the workers would be a part of that, which we can help guarantee. I mean, to go back to your original thought, we could have the situation where Holtz hires the brigade to deal with them, and we simply turn up saying that we're here to avoid conflict. We're not necessarily representing the workers. We are simply representing the cause of discussion, and the threat that if the other side attacks, if the brigade attacks the workers, we will defend them, not because we're necessarily aligned with them, but we're aligned with peace. And then that's how we try and push it to the table with neutral arbiters.
I was going to say the way to get Holtz would be if the brigade steps in and destroys all of the industrial mechs, what tools do the miners have to keep production going?
Well, we need to make sure that doesn't get to that point.
Well, I'm saying as like a thing to get him to the table.
Yeah.
Like come to the table before it escalates to this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Where are you at with your suggestion, Arthur? Now that we've spoken all of our
ready for me to cook?
Pieces. Yes. Okay. Now that you've been cooking silently, I need you to cook out loud.
Based on everything you guys have said, the plan I was already going to execute is going to work well, but also strangely, I think.
Okay.
So the only thing I need to know is if you're going into the hall after Gustavo, or if you're just out here talking to Andrea.
I I think we better go into the hall to make because
Yeah.
he's gonna. Otherwise, he is a cat among.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
probably need to.
Oh, no.
I don't think I have anything to say to her. I think she's. I think I've got the picture of what her role in all this is. So I
So,
don't know that there's.
As you
But she's
three
trying
go
to talk
in,
to me.
she's going in as well, but it's in that we're going in the same direction, but we're not together
Right.
way.
Yeah, we say our goodbyes and then we
I think
walk
at
the
that
same
point,
way.
Siegfried breaks the tension by asking her like what kind of calisthenics she does or what does she do to stay in shape.
I work in a mining mech, 16-hour shifts underground.
Oh no, wait, what's that like?
It's good work. It ain't easy, but it's a living. Now, just to be clear, she's delivering this all completely monotone, like, yeah, these questions are banal and pointless.
Big don't talk to me vibes
Yeah,
right now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just it might not be that bad, except the questions you're asking her are like so bland.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to keep up the small talk until they're back in the party.
Yeah, she's not a real small talk person. I'm drawing from my own personal experience. As you enter, you can see that Gustavo has already been announced. And just to remind everyone, the drinks here represent the different factions. Like, you can't just like order whatever drink you want. You have to get whatever nasty ass combination of liquids that have also been oh god, I forgot what chemically weighting is called, but like it has your factional colors as part of it. So a bartender in the background is hastily making a black and gold out of bourbon, frangelico, lemon juice, honey syrup, and has topped it with like a real dark black grapefruit just to get a yellow and black alcohol mixed together, because he doesn't have like a black liquid ready to put it on top. It has to be the black of the grapefruit. You can see that Gustavo walks up to Holtz, who is talking to Thalia, and he pulls out a piece of paper from his suit and holds it in front of him, and everybody's like gasping. Like, the entire world's nobility. I mean, again, these people are technically a democratic nation, but like the top level bureaucrats, the people that are in control, the media, the celebrities are all here. I don't know that anyone can read it, but everyone knows what's on this piece of paper because people are acting shocked, and some people are like passing money around. Ever since they heard that Gustavo was coming, there's apparently been some like pocket betting. The Brigade of Exiles, as soon as they see this piece of paper, move to like casually amble up and surround him from 5 directions, so that he can't like leave this conversation quickly without bumping into any of them. And he says, Mr. Holtz, I just wanted to announce that we are striking. And as part of our legally binding contract with you, the Lushan Loyal Union Workers Global will meet with you in our mines. You can come to us, because, as you know, communications down into the mines are very difficult. Signals have a hard time getting out. You can come to us, and we will speak to you there when you are ready to meet our terms. And when this is happening, you see Thalia catches all of your eyes and, like, winks, and then kind of moves her head towards Falco, and then very loudly says, and I will send neutral arbiters to oversee these negotiations so that nothing untoward happens. Our guests from the Draconis Combine who have recently arrived, I'm sure, can stand nearby and ensure that all legalities and niceties are looked after. And then she puts her arm around Falco and says, I would hate for anything untoward to happen to our greatest planetary asset, Falco Holtz. Falco Holtz, everyone! Falco Holtz, what a good sport he's been about this. Then she turns at you guys and just, again, in a room full of people, outrightly winks like, you're gonna kill this guy, right?
I give her a little bow.
As people are like looking towards us, I get one of the shots that's like the Outworlds Alliance color, and I like lift it up to toast.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people in here see what you do and they all go like there's a scramble. Like bartenders have stopped making the union like black and golds to start making Outworlds Alliance drinks, and like people are raising like to the union, to Mr. Falco Holtz, this will all be resolved amicably, I'm sure. To democracy. And just to be clear, like only truly people that like believe the lie are in it. Like half the people in this room are like, yeah, they're definitely, he's gonna fucking annihilate the union at that meeting, and then just be like, oh, they attacked us. Like they know what's really going on here.
These minds are a real 2-man enter, 1-man leave situation.
Yeah, it's crazy how this whole situation is set up so that no matter what happens, somebody dies. That's crazy, dude.
It's almost like this show needed a mech battle.
What I love about the situation, though, is you've managed to convince 2 different parties that killing Falco is in their best interests.
Well, so this is what I'm a little confused
They
about.
weren't even predisposed toward killing him. You've managed to convince both of them. And you know what? You're going to be able to go back to both parties and be like, so I did that thing for you.
Wait, what are the 2 parties?
Thalia.
Is Thalia one of them?
You convinced Thalia that if
her of
you...
that?
Yes, you convinced...
Oh, okay.
James convinced Thalia that if you kill Falco...
That's right.
She can nationalize his business and seize it for the planet, which of course means her.
Because she was originally like, take care of the union.
Yeah.
And
James really fucking just psyoped the shit out of her. It was like,
that upside down.
He doesn't have a legal heir, right? So it would be bad if your defense industry didn't have a CEO. If there's no clear line of succession, this guy hasn't been married yet. What if we just took care of that problem for you? And she was like, oh my, I literally never considered that, but now I can't think about anything else.
Yeah.
Wild. We got there, James. You really fucked this situation, huh? That's rare to see 2 forks like this. All right. We are now fully committed. The only question now is what you want to do about the Brigade of Exiles and Gustavo Coimbra, because they, again, have him physically surrounded on the dance floor, and he hasn't made any attempt to leave yet, but these people are all, like, murderers. They clearly have no problem killing people.
My suggestion would probably be that the female among us being Brad's character, pull him out for a dance, and then we make sure that he gets the
Yeah, I'll do that. That sounds good. One of you run over to the band and request a song, and I'll go over there and offer. I'll walk right in between. I'll just brush right past the leader of the brigade.
Yeah. I'll go request Ballroom Blitz.
And yeah. Shout, so that we can all jump up and down.
I would like a athletics dexterity check from you to slip past this blockade. I'm not saying you can't get in here. I'm just worried someone's going to shoulder check you and embarrass you.
I think that would be bad for them to embarrass me.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't have anything.
That doesn't mean they are going to try it.
Sure. So this will just be. Why is my dice not rolling? What's happening?
I can roll it.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. That's 9. What's
9 minus 1 is 8.
8. Okay. That's what you needed. You slip in between at least 2 of these 5 people as Ballroom Blitz kicks up. You snake Gustavo out of the center of this den of snakes and out onto the dance floor. And it happens so fast and yet so gracefully that they literally, they know that if they touch you physically, violently, in front of all of these people, it could actually cause a war.
Like war, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're a noble of the Draconis Combine. So they are on the verge of doing just that. And it's not even that they stop from doing it, it's that you are actually too fast. I think you probably see Erzabet go to trip you. Oh, goodness. She goes to trip you. You just sidestep, shuffle around it, pull Gustavo out, and go into a dance, and they're all just like, no, wait, no.
I need like one of those like
I wanna say like Siegfried tries to run interception, and anyone trying to make their way towards Akari.
When the girl
he,
reaches to get me, you grab her hand and you start dancing with her.
and I was gonna say,
Oh my god.
I was gonna say he does that psychology thing where it's like he just starts taking drinks and handing them to people, and people just absentmindedly accept what they're handed.
She
love
reaches
that
out to
thing.
grab and just gets a fistful of drink from you.
Yep.
Oh, do you hand her
What-
a union colored drink? That would be
Yeah.
incredible.
What was that terrible movie that had like all the magicians and they had to see where they were trying to like flick the card
Now
from
You
to
See
each
Me.
other?
Yeah, now you see.
So we need to seem like where they're also on the dance floor dancing, trying to like stab this guy. But, every like Akari keeps pulling off like dance moves that just move away just in time, or Siegfried makes someone bump into one of them at the last minute, just before they're about to get a blade or whatever.
I hate that movie. It's so stupid. It literally doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Just for those at home that haven't seen it yet. No, I'm not going to spoil it. I want to so badly, but the code of honor I established with Henley means I can't do it. It's truly not worth watching.
Don't watch it.
Okay, I'll say this about it. They try to make it seem like the tricks that they pull off are all visual schemes, like actual street magic, when in fact it is all like 90% VFX and like jump cuts and such. Like,
What's the name of the movie? Surely there's
Now
a
You See
statute
Me.
of limitations, right? You can spoil or something if it's more than 10 years old.
In fact, I think that Now You See Me 2 is actually the one that had the card trick in it.
so it's
Yes,
like
it's 10
four
years old.
criminal.
It's a 10-year-old film.
I
There's no more
believe-
spoilers are out.
No, I believe Henley told me it had to be 15 years old.
Oh my god, that's so long.
Where's Henley to defend that? Is he here? He's not
No.
here.
I don't think people have to be there to defend the code of honor that you've established.
Or just say it now and then don't publish this episode for 5 years. We'll just have like a gap in the middle between.
It's the lost episode.
That would be amazing.
Everyone just comes back and we're randomly in a mech battle.
They're not going to understand how we cut from the.
You have to play the long game, AP.
Yeah, say it, edit it out, but keep that clip.
The long
Publish
game.
it in 10 years.
I spent
Wasn't it-
3 years prepping to run Mistborn. My God. Tell me about the long game.
Was it John Malkovich who did that short film recently? Then they buried it with like a bottle of alcohol that won't be open
100
for like
years,
300.
yes.
Yeah.
So that specifically no one alive today would ever see it. I mean, I guess that's an idea. And I guess John Malkovich is a person who could do that, yeah. It's going to be so funny when no one has the data format to play whatever the movie is. Okay. I will need a roll from Siegfried now to dance as well.
Uh-oh.
Athletics, dexterity. I mean, it's going to be a question of if she breaks your finger or not when you hand her this drink. Or as Anakin Skywalker would say, fingies.
So if he rolls above a certain number, does he get to hand her the drink and break her finger?
I don't... He would have to confirm with me that breaking her finger was something he wanted, Rad.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not trying to break anyone's finger.
Really?
Can I-
Not
can I-
even
can
out
I-
wet?
Can I dance too? Just because it's actually something I'm good at. I'd actually like to make a roll with a bonus once in this game.
Okay, who would you like to dance with? Who do you want to dance with?
I'm dancing my own. I'm just, there
Oh,
you
you're
go, total-
dancing by
You're
yourself?
just vibing.
Yes, yeah.
Just throwing a little
You're doing
flare
a
on the dance
dance?
floor.
You're taking a chance? You're dancing
Yeah.
by yourself? Okay, I understand.
Yeah,
Total-
I don't think I
total of
don't
10.
think I have athletics. So
Okay. So -1 to 8. How's your dex?
my dex is 13, so it's a 0.
Okay, well, you hand
So I
this
think
woman a
this is-
drink and you can even pull her into a dance if you'd like. I'm going to leave that flex choice up to you.
So it's a roll when I'm at -1, right?
I thought you just did roll. Someone has a 9 on these dice set here.
No, I haven't rolled anything yet.
Okay.
So
all right.
I rolled the red dice and got a total of 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll
okay.
these yellow dice that always seem to roll low for me.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I'll dance with Thalia Schultz.
I got a 6.
Okay.
So if I have no athletic skill, that goes to a -1.
So here's what
5.
happens to you. You go to hand this woman a drink, and she flexes her fingers outwardly, and it spills onto your pants, and she goes, "Oops, looks like you were a little clumsy there, my lord. Someone should go clean you up."
Oh well, at least I didn't piss myself like all wet.
There's the sigh. I'm not even going to make you roll for that. So many people are watching what just happened. Yeah.
You get drink spilled on you, and you're so smug. You're so smug.
Someone nearby
Because
goes,
she still failed to reach out and grab me one way or the other, right? Like,
yeah. Someone nearby goes, "Did I just hear that Alouette Takeda pissed himself at this party? Is that why I haven't seen him in the last 2 hours?" Someone else nearby has the Battletech version of a mobile phone, but of course, because it's 3046, it's the size of like 2 bricks. It's more like a cinder block. And they're like, "Hey, what's up, folks at home? Just getting you the selfie here on the dance floor. I just got the hottest the hot goss. The tea was spilled on Lord Siegfried Arnsson, samurai from the Draconis Combine, and he spilled the tea on Alouette Takeda, pissing himself in the bathroom. A grown man having an accident? That's something we should be making fun of."
how embarrassing for him. Yeah.
I mean, anyone with experience knowing soldiers or any kind of military personnel, I don't think they would necessarily be flustered by
I'm not saying
alcohol
this
being spilled on themselves.
I don't, but to other people, it lowers your image that you've spilled alcohol on yourself. So what they see is you have a drink and it goes on you. So you spilled a drink on yourself. And your follow-up is, "At least I didn't piss myself."
I was going to say, do those people have battle mechs? Because if not, then their opinion doesn't
Who
matter.
gives a shit? Yeah, exactly.
You guys fully have embodied the nobility that you are actually playing. It's incredible, really.
Oh no, these people don't think as much of me.
You know what? This in NADPOD terminology, this is real bonfire behavior right here. I know nobody's gonna get that, but this is real bonfire behavior.
What's the quote? Like, damn, I can't think of what the animals are used in the quote, but it's like the lion doesn't concern himself with the opinion of the ants or something. What is it? What are the animals? Is that the animals? That
It's the do not ask the hawk do not ask the sparrow how the hawk flies. But in Africa, it does involve lions. Yes, there are a bunch of different quotes, but all of them are like, the animal at the top doesn't give a shit what the lower animals are, and those lower animals will never reach it. I get it. I know. You guys are real nobility, not like this brigade of exiles. I get it. All right.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep. That's what it is.
You know the joke about the bear and the rabbit in the woods?
No.
When the bear and the rabbit go in the woods, and the bear says to the rabbit, "So when you shit in the woods, does it get stuck to your fur?" And the rabbit said, "No, it doesn't." So the bear picks it up and wipes his ass with it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, James. So,
it's a George R.R. Martin quote. It's Tywin Lannister says it.
I do want to point out though that Tywin Lannister is wrong extremely often.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite things is that people are like, "Yeah, Tywin Lannister said no true king needs to say I am the king," and I'm like, that's totally wrong. Like, he says it with such confidence, he says it with such gravitas, and also Mansa Musa traveled the entire world as the richest man in all of history with a full entourage to say, "This is Mansa Musa, the king, and he's super rich." And he introduces himself by saying, "Hi, I'm Mansa Musa. I'm a king. I'm super rich." Okay. James, you absolutely kill it on the dance floor by yourself and then gracefully accept a non-ballroom blitz dance with Thalia because, you know, she is elderly, not geriatric, but she's elderly, and also Ballroom Blitz is clearly not her speed.
Yep.
Probably something by or other classical artists like the Beastie Boys.
Unchained Melody.
Truly, I don't know where to go from this part of the party. So many bizarre things have happened in the space of 5 seconds. I want to make it clear, though, that Falco Holtz is the kind of person to have, like, a truly dead stare inside. Like, after he gets handed this sheet of paper that officializes the Union going on general strike, he has that dead stare that people who don't have a soul inside and like solving problems with violence, like, he's truly unconcerned. But I think the bigger problem is that he doesn't move from where he's standing. He just kind of stands there and looks around, but does not take a step, even though people around him are dancing.
I would think he'd be relatively pleased. Like, to him, this must seem like a good outcome.
Normally that would be true, except you guys just got named the peacekeepers for this situation.
But he's also spoken with us, and we
have you agreed to kill the Union for him?
No, we didn't vibe. We definitely didn't vibe.
Then he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He has no idea what's going to happen when he goes down there, which means he may need to kill you.
Some social commentator asked him how he feels about the strike, and he just says disappointed.
I see you understand the character. Yeah. The Brigade of Exiles leaves after a short amount of time in order to begin preparing for the situation. They have a full complement of mechs now because Frederick has the Grand Dragon, but it is going to take him some time. Like, it actually takes like a week or so to fully get initiated with a new mech. So I think you can basically suspect that when they're ready, the Brigade of Exiles is going to come with Falco to negotiate. But that negotiate is really murder all of you.
How many of them are there? How many mechs can we expect them to field?
So, just based on general what you know, Bill has a Cattle Master, Frederick has the Grand Dragon, Elizabeth has a Scavenger Salvage mech, Tony has a Mining mech, and Met has a Buster BC XV-M Hauler mech mod /BC space XV parentheses AC parentheses. Truly, whoever named that mech spent too much time watching Gundam.
That's what the brigade has?
Yes.
They have one battle mech and a bunch of industrial mechs?
I will point out they didn't have that battle mech until 2 hours ago. Again, you don't really have to have really good battle mechs to suppress peasant rebellions.
Was that 4 total? Or 5 total?
That's 5.
5 total.
So I
want to imagine that a single machine gun is more than enough on a battle mech to stop 99% of workers' rights problems.
Just look at the Ed 209 and RoboCop, right? Like, it doesn't take much to just absolutely obliterate a riot.
Yeah.
So there was the Grand Dragon, the Cattle Master, and what were the other ones?
I'm going to copy paste
salvage.
It for you.
Thank you. Some kind of salvage mech.
That's the Battletech channel. That's the correct channel.
I don't know. I almost think it would be funny to further make a deal with the union workers and like put one of them in the Thunderbolt, like in reserve.
We have got Poe here. Poe here can pilot a mech.
Oh yeah, there you go. Just now we have excess mechs. We can field a 4th.
I mean, you also have a Wolverine and a Crab. You can get Gustavo and Andrea in those 2.
We have. I mean, I think we already have.
Now, just to be clear, their skill rating is 6 and they're terrible.
I feel like almost the catapult by itself could take out that whole lance of 5.
So, which one of those mechs do you want to put Poe in?
I mean, first off, are any of us changing our mech? Are any of us using a mech which is not
That is
our
a great
standard
question.
mech?
I like the idea of piloting the Thunderbolt, but I chose this Ferrari of a mech, and I feel like I need to pilot it at least once before I start changing it up. All of the shit talk that's come from Rad selecting the rattlesnake, I feel like it has to make an appearance at some point.
You got to go fast with that, man. You
Gotta go
absolutely have
fast.
to.
I'm going to stick it out in the catapult. It's still technically the worst version mech. It's worse than the crab technically, but I'm going to stick it out.
Okay, now I just want to make it clear that this fight is going to take place underground in the mines.
So what effect will it have on LRMs?
Is that,
I mean,
does
there's
that
not
mean
going to be a lot of long, clear lines of sight.
Okay, I was going to say, is that going to prevent me from using indirect fire?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I think that we put Poe in the Wolverine then.
Okay, I would like anyone who cares to make a tactics wisdom roll for no particular reason.
I do have 1 in tactics, and I have a 0 in wisdom, so I can make this at a at a +0.
We can all make it, or
If you care.
I guess I care. I always care about the tactics, Arthur.
So 9 for me, +1, -1.
I have no
9 as well, flat 9.
I have no tactics, but I have 1 in wisdom, so it's a 0, right?
Yes.
Boop, boop.
All
We all
three of
rolled
you
9.
got 9s.
9.
Okay. All of you recognize that Gustavo and Andrea have a skill rating of 6, and you also recognize there are several oddities about Poe. So you get the following things. Number 1, he adapts to the Wolverine incredibly fast, like within 24 hours. Number 2, he has a skill rating of 1. He is truly one of the greatest pilots you've ever seen. Number 3, he clearly has formal collegiate mech training that he's never talked about. As far as any of you know, this guy is a mech tech whose nominal job is to drive mechs into a repair bay in order to be repaired.
But
And
he used the Quidditch Hatteract.
he is much better at mech piloting than any of you.
That's a conversation for later.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have a whole week of prep for both sides, so.
Do we even need to deploy, or can we just throw Poe out in the Wolverine until we come back?
I feel
when the
like
job's
as good
done.
as Poe is, I do think that 5 mechs are going to overwhelm this dude.
Your classic Goodwill Hunting, how do you like them apples scenario. The janitor is actually a genius. Incredible.
So the next session will be the battle. Each of you are going to pick one of the NPCs to also pilot. I am going to give you a card that has their stats, and they also will have something like behavior limitations. For instance, Poe is never going to be more than a certain distance from Kyeda. Like, yes, a skill 1 character in a Wolverine 6K can absolutely mix it up and totally destroy people. Unfortunately, Poe is on bodyguard duty and will not leave the side of this Kintaro to make sure that their master is alive.
Thankfully, I'll be going in close with the Katara anyway, so.
Gustavo and Andrea are both mining mech pilots, and they have a preference for melee combat, even though, again, a Crab 27B and a Thunderbolt 5S are not exactly melee brawler champions. They don't have training for like using lasers and machine guns and missiles and all of that stuff. They're going to prefer to get into the fight and mix it up. So I will give you guys cards with a little bit more specific instruction, and I will hope that you deploy their mechs accordingly. I have to say, in all probability, based on how you've managed to negotiate this, you're probably going to win, and you're going to win very quickly and easily. But I've seen this show and all of my other Battletech shows before. And sometimes Glimo gets destroyed in the first round, and we had to give him a whole second mech in the second episode. So Eric Fulgaris takes the Gauss rifle headshot on the first move of the game. So you never really know.
Gotcha.
I feel like unless there's any scenes you'd like to set in the week of build-up time where the Union is, you know, bringing you into their underground base in the mines 2 hours south, there's lots of like building up defenses, bringing all the like worker families and children in, setting up like soup kitchens to make sure everybody's fed and taken care of, building media presence so that, you know, they can't just be disappeared in the middle of the night sort of deal, but also so that the people of the world know what the workers are going through. All of that is going down in the background of truly only Gustavo and Andrea know that you guys are not neutral observers, but are here to butcher the opposition and bring Falco Holtz to a negotiating table where he believes he is going to win quickly, and instead he will die here.
Is it possible to concoct a scenario where the Thunderbolt and the Crab are like powered down and hidden to like, can we stage like an ambush of some kind?
I feel like I'm going to ask for another tactics roll for that, but yes. I'm going to ask for an 8. That's an 11. Okay. So I will let you choose up to 3 mechs that you would like to hide anywhere on the battlefield. Okay. You will be able to see where the enemy is deploying, and then you will be able to choose where to deploy up to 3 mechs.
Cool. Have them power up from underneath like a mound of rocks or something.
We'll do it MechWarrior Destiny style. You know, lava pits just open up and the mechs open up. Come out of the top. Finally, someone let me out of my cage.
We'll have
a clear hex.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. Conquer Earth.
We'll just put a giant stalactite, and they'll come down like on a fireman pole.
Sorry, did you go to Rita Repulsa?
Yes.
Oh my God. Incredible. If you have not seen Go Go Loser Ranger on Disney Plus and Hulu, you are missing out, by the way.
I have not seen that.
It is the Japanese version of an anime for the Power Rangers, where like one of the like weakest dudes, you know, like a Punny or a Zaku, is like, I'm going to become the best hero in the entire world. It is truly ridiculous and amazing. I've been enjoying it a lot. Disney Plus's incredibly strange dip into anime is really freaking me out. Okay. Anything you want to talk about here and now? Now that we've gotten past Rad's water park advertisement. And...
Yeah, I didn't get to say to the audience, but yeah, today before the show started, Rad showed us his nipple. It was very uncomfortable.
Uncensored, unpixelated, just in its rawest, most natural form.
He was holding a woman and children while he did it.
Just to make it feel more.
That makes it weirder somehow.
I'm glad that makes it sound weirder, because if it made it sound less weird, I want to
have a conversation with Arthur, and it doesn't have to be now, but I want to talk more about the without numbers system in general.
Okay.
I just want to get like your opinion on it.
I like it.
I'm trying to like it, and I'm trying to understand.
It's okay if you don't like it, though.
It's not that I don't like it. I'm just trying to understand.
Just know we're currently playing the 1E version rather than revised.
Okay. Which one do you think is better? The revised?
I think that they play very differently.
Okay.
So
what are you using for your other show? Is that revised or the original?
All the Battletech shows use 1E, and the Stars of That Number, the actual Stars of That Number show uses revised.
Yeah, so I meant to start with that number.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason that we're not using revised is because in revised, it's a little bit more like 5E, where like you select a background and then you select feats essentially, and those feats are very tied to the universe. Like the Star Captain feat gives you the ability to make drill checks without actually needing to make the check. That would be totally worthless to this group. Like there's so much I would have to remove from the book to make it functional. 1E lent itself to like, if I remove psychics, this could more or less just be Battletech. Like it was a little bit more generic. What I like about Stars Without Numbers in general is the 2d6 roll makes it very dice curve. You know, you're probably going to pass. If you're looking for a 7 or 8 on most rolls, you're probably going to pass most rolls. You may fail by a little bit. You may succeed by a little bit. And kind of house the rules like plus or minus 2 in any direction gives you like a little bit more, a little bit less. But it's a lot more controlled than rolling a d20 and you're like, well, it's 5% chance it lands on any number, rather than being like, here's a very structured, understandable probability curve. Your character does get better at every level. It happens very slowly. You start out very easy to kill, and then you quickly ramp up to being like, okay, I can withstand several hits. So there's a clear line of progression. What else? So the combat is still classic D20 based. You know, you're rolling a D20. That part is, I think, a lot easier to understand for people than the 2d6. Is like, oh, you know, it's traditional D&D combat of any generation. You roll a D20, you add some stuff.
You miss, you do some damage.
Yeah, it is the reverse Thaco where you add your opponent's armor class to the roll, which does confuse people sometimes. Which is why having a low number for your armor is better. I think that confuses a lot of people, but like the best armor in the game is like a +2 rather than, if you're not wearing any armor, it's a +9. It's got a lot of little nuances, but in general, like I like Stars Without Numbers. I like the without numbers system in general. And the thing about Revised is that it was designed from the ground up to be like, you can take stuff from this, you can take the real stuff from this, and it'll work with the cyberpunk setting, or it'll work with the fantasy setting, or it'll work, you know, in all these other settings. Because Kevin Crawford did a number of different without numbers style books that weren't called without numbers, like Silent Legions, which is something I made a stream of a long time ago, which is like Africana fantasy. And you could not take the Stars Without Numbers rules into it. It still did 2d6, it did all that stuff, it had skills, but the ability to summon a herd of cows, I think, is a very strange spell that you wouldn't want to take with you to another system. It didn't have interoperability between the other things.
Yeah, it's definitely not that I don't like it. I'll echo what you said. If I do find it very generic, but I don't think I have a very accurate sample size of what the system has to offer.
You've
because
been
all we
playing
do
it
is
for 18 episodes.
Yeah, but all we've ever done with it is skill checks.
Great. That's the majority of why I like it.
And we did a combat.
You did?
Did we do
yeah.
it? We did a single combat?
Kyeda,
the
That's
nighttime
right.
combat. Yeah, in the house. So
Yeah. So I don't know. It just, I don't know. Bland is kind of a negative word, but like,
okay.
I don't know.
You know, I'm not trying to.
I want you to sell it to me, though. I want you to sell it to me.
Let me ask you a question. This or Mech Warrior Destiny?
Oh,
do
there's
you
no
prefer
question.
Bland or spicy hot shit?
No.
You know what I mean?
Bland.
Like,
yeah. I'll take steamed rice over, fucking week-old hot dog water any day of the week.
And this is a man who loves hot dogs.
Yeah, tell me. Let me tell you.
Can I share my thoughts since we're sharing thoughts?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I have said it before as well. So this system reminds me a lot of first and second ed Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Like the way like the saving throws, for example, work. In any game system, I always prefer game systems where you spend XP to buy individual character level ups, then systems where you have a leveling based system, because leveling based systems obviously heavily restrict the point at which the character can get better. And like first and second ed, this game system very much has, whole levels where you really get very, very little, except maybe 1 or 2 skill points that you can't afford to spend on. You can't put any skills up with those points anyway. Like, one of the things I think that, for example, 5th Ed D&D did very well is made sure that every single level of progression gives you something. You've gotten either more spells or a new ability, because even 3.5 had levels where literally, okay, my base attack bonus goes up and my saves improve, and that's it. Like, I had no choice. But nothing I could really change with this level except maybe some skill points. I think that there are probably other good generic game systems out there. I've never been a GURPS player. I've never played GURPS. I think that Savage Worlds, as far as like a 2d6 or like a simple dice roll system, Savage Worlds is a simple system. I think that Genesis, obviously we all love Genesis because we played Star Wars, but it takes more work to port Genesis into a setting. You got to sort of work out the individual minutiae of what things apply, boost dice and setback dice, etc. I said I don't have a problem with stars by number. It just feels like character progression both on the table and on the paper is something that I enjoy, and it certainly feels like a game system where the on the paper progression is either extremely slow or in many cases non-existent. You go up a level and really got nothing for it. There's more sort of level brackets where all your saves suddenly improve. That's just my thought anyway.
Yeah,
let me
I
ask
fully agree.
you a question though.
Yeah.
This or MechWarrior Destiny?
I mean,
you had to consider it. Interesting.
I didn't so much have the same problems with people who had with MechWarrior Destiny, other than the fact it was like it was half a system.
Yes.
It was missing a lot. And this system's missing a lot. Like there's not like if you compare MechWarrior Destiny with A Time of Total Warfare, A Time of Total Warfare had like 28 pages of equipment. It had like 6 pages with just lists of guns. Whereas Stars Without Number has the equipment is made very generic because it is supposed to be a generic system. It reminds me a lot of Alternity. Alternity was an RPG that TSR put out to try and do a generic space game after the success of D&D Second Edition. Other than like Metamorphosis Alpha and what was the big one that TSR did that had all the furry stuff in it? They re-released recently. Space game. I don't remember now what it was, but it was. Yeah, there were a lot of these sort of games sort of pumped out in like the early to mid '80s to try and capture the whole. I want to play a game which is not D&D, but I don't have a specific IP I'm going for.
I just want to say, James,
it could be Palladium. If it was Palladium, I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm done. So if you want to have a game system, I won't play Palladium.
I want to say you do it for me if I got the name of the system wrong. And in fact, you actually did earlier today. So Once again, I'm going to repeat myself by just saying, you do it for me. I'll do it for you. The name of the system is A Time of War. A Time of Total Warfare is the show that I ran based on that system.
Yeah, well, in actuality, it's no longer called A Time of War. It's now called the Battletech RPG. That was what it was called at the end of its run. They re-released it as just a Battletech RPG.
I have a PDF right here that says A Time of War.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The system just... I don't mind the 2d6. I didn't particularly like character creation very much because I don't like rolling for stats. I'm an array guy. I like arrays. I was reading a little bit in the Worlds Without Number, and I see that array is an option in that, so I liked that. I liked knowing that there were going to be feats in the newer edition, because that does seem to be something very specifically this game lacks. Is like, I don't have any cool things I can do. Right? I make skill checks, and that's really it. I don't have any class features. I don't have, I can make a reroll like once an hour. Like, that's not super engaging as far as like cool things you can do.
But if you didn't have that reroll, you would be spicy about not having a reroll. It's
literally just a system of skill checks, at least in the form that we use it. So, like you said, it doesn't, like James said, it doesn't feel like a complete system, really. And maybe maybe that's just our implementation of it.
No, I mean, to some extent, that's true. Removing psionics has removed a lot of.
And it's like you said, we've played 18 months.
I said 18 episodes. I didn't say 18
episodes. I don't know. It feels like 18 months. How long has this show been going on?
Okay.
What's the first episode?
Hold on.
Look it up.
Let's go back to the start of the chat on Discord. How long ago did the cast meeting room form?
I don't know, I'd probably say 7 or 8 months ago. It was sometime in winter when Rad was like, "You want to cook something up?" And I was like, "Give me 3 hours. I'll come up with a full system idea and storyline for you if you just give me 3 hours."
Goes back further than that, it looks like. April 11, 2023 was the first message.
June 30th is the first episode. That sounds right.
Yeah, a year. We've been playing this game a year. I've leveled 1 time, and as a result, I've increased 2 skills, 1 point each.
Yeah.
Well,
I've leveled once, and I saved the points, but I don't need to spend them on.
We do. They're 2-hour episodes, and
I understand.
Again, there's only been 18 of them.
18.
Well, okay, that's still
9 episodes, really.
34 hours of play.
And I rolled XP and leveled up and got less XP than I got in my first level. So
Character progression is non-existent at this point after 32 hours of play.
But we have increased number of mechs we've got. There is
just now though, after a year, we just increased it.
But there's on paper progression and there's in character progression. So I think our characters have developed and have achieved goals and that sort of stuff. So
sorry, I don't want to sound like an ungrateful
3 hours.
I don't want to feel like an ungrateful first world elder millennial that's like, where's all my instant gratification?
Oh, you mean geriatric millennials like me?
Geriatric. A zennial, right?
We need our
Gen Z,
now
half
for
millennial.
our knees.
But I don't know. I don't think I'm being unreasonable by saying one level in 34 hours. And this is not a knock on you, Arthur. I know you're going to take it that way, whether I say that one way or the other.
Actually, I'm not.
It's not about you at all. These are just my observations of the systems.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
And we've been going super duper slowly. We have. But there's no contesting that.
I don't know.
I think part of the issue with the advancement is that there's a learning curve with learning how to set goals, because that's the only way to get XP is through setting goals. And there's a learning curve between making something that's easily obtainable or having some kind of larger overarching goal that's kind of ambiguous. And it's when can you say you've achieved that thing?
Yeah, the goals are a little fiddly, I feel like, because me personally, I get caught between wanting to think of a cool goal, balancing that with an achievable goal, balancing that with I don't want to feel like I'm just gaming the system to try and feed myself a bunch of XP, right? I don't want my goal to be you have bananas for breakfast, right? But I would also like to level more than once a year. So what's the balance there? It's a player skill that I haven't developed.
All goal-based systems have the issue where it's hard to tell what is a realistic goal in the terms of the system and the intended growth rate as such. People will either underset their goals or overset their goals, or you are constrained to one goal, whereas most people in reality are running multiple goals at once, for example. But that's just the idiosyncrasy of those sort of systems. You make me feel like I want to start doing a short, half-hour video series of reviewing old game systems.
You should.
You know what you should do, James?
I'd watch it.
You should make a blog out of it.
I don't know. Blogs
now there's a reference, audience. Yeah, that's one you truly will only get if you follow me on every one of my videos.
Yeah. You could do a short form podcast, 20-minute podcast episodes. This is what my wife and my kids listen to all the time. They listen to
you
little
can call it the Grimdark podcast. Yeah, I agree.
you just have guests from Arthur's community on every other episode or so.
You just have the Blood Bowl team show up and help you review old games.
You just have a 20-minute version of the intro hour, and the topic of discussion is just an RPG system that you want to talk about.
That's right. I'll just invite people on and talk at them about why this RPG system sucks and
why you don't like it,
and record their reactions.
Oh my god! And put them in the thumbnail.
Yeah,
that's what
always have them do a face. You just make the title worst RPG ever? Question mark? Question mark?
Derps! Exclamation question mark over my head. Is GURPS poggers now? Let's take a look back over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Thaco, more like wacko.
I mean, no one has ever agreed that Thaco was a good idea.
I would be really entertained by that. Just a 15-minute weekly YouTube podcast thing where you just like, it's not actually about the podcast at all. It's just you trying to trigger as much of the YouTube algorithm as possible, just using, all the little tricks, like all wrapped up in 15 minutes to try and just like to push.
So before we get
the
started
math.
here, let me get the ad read out of the way.
Yeah.
Make sure
Let me
you
do
go
my
down there and
in-video
hit
ad.
that bell.
Yeah. All the buzzwords.
Slam that
tags.
like button.
Yeah. Smash that bell. But yeah.
Rad,
to ring back
I'm
around.
not concerned if you're taking shots at this system. I'm way more concerned about this morning when Pondo was like, "This sounds like the metal system for MechWarrior Destiny," and then Kot was like, "I don't like the metal system for MechWarrior Destiny. Don't do that." I'm like, guys, I'm not talking about the metal system for MechWarrior Destiny. Please,
You
please
said it like
stop
3
talking about
times.
MechWarrior Destiny.
Like 3 separate posts, you're like, to be clear. Yeah.
In response to my previous Discord message.
Yeah, I want you to know, I really wanted to comment, I don't like the medals from MechWarrior Destiny after you said it like a 3rd time. But I chose not to.
Look, I don't know that anyone likes MechWarrior Destiny. Although, again, I like.
You have like at least 1 or 2. I don't remember.
I like
if it's
how easy the
Foehammer
logistics
or...
is to wrap up in it.
Yeah,
But everyone
sure.
else hates spending XP that they could advance their character for to repair and rearm their mechs. Now, I want to say this: MechWarrior Destiny is the only system I've ever played that asked for player feedback to alter the rulebook, and didn't read the player feedback until after the game was fully published. And then sent a message to me saying, "We got your feedback, but we've already released the game."
Yeah.
1 sentence, that's it. I was
Amazing.
like, okay.
They literally
Wow.
just put a post-it note and they with a marker, they were like, suggestion box, and put that right on the trash can and then passed it around everybody.
I know that Heavy Gear 4th edition's come out recently.
Heavy Gear. What an incredible game. What an incredible game. I love their version of whatever the Naga is called. Just the giant Arrow 4 missile launcher in Heavy Gear 2 that was very clearly a Clan Wolf Omnimech. That's the, at least in the video game version, I'm pretty sure it's about 2 giant mech carriers fighting each other along a line of battle. And then as you win or lose battles, it pushes the whole line up or down.
Yeah, the setting of Heavy Gear is a desert planet where you've got 2 major factions fighting over territorial control on this planet. But one of the sort of the mech elements I liked from Heavy Gear was this concept that mechs all have what they call a black box, which is basically like their onboard simplistic AI that just manages neural connection to physical movement. But the older a mech gets, the more advanced the black box gets, and it almost becomes like a robotic intelligence over time.
It can pilot the mech itself like a knight.
That's cool. I like that idea.
You get like idiosyncratic elements to your mech as such as it sort of starts to develop more and more personality.
Of course, yeah. My Marauder style mech wears a top hat and says "Milady" before every duel. Like that's what that one, right? That's what got you.
Too. I was trying to keep going, and then you got me. You sideswiped me on that.
And the fact that all the mechs in Heavy Gear have wheels on their feet, so they could.
Yes, that's true.
So they can roller skate.
They could roller skate into combat. That's it. Yeah.
Like the Michael Bay Transformers. They all rollerblading around all the time because that's a lot easier than animating walking. That's funny.
Is that why they did that?
I mean,
wow,
that was
does make
for
sense.
a long time. That's been a joke in computer animation. Is you always try to find a way to avoid the walk and run cycle,
of course,
because it's where your lack of animation skill becomes immediately apparent. Is bad walking and running. So that's why you see a lot of like animated kid shows or even lower budget animated movies. They show walking from the waist up.
Yeah,
and they try to minimize the amount of shots where it's like feet on ground.
Did you watch Invincible season 2?
Yes.
Yep.
They had that episode early on at the Artist
Alley.
So
good.
I was watching that and I immediately was like, Raddosaurus was involved in this episode for sure.
I fucking love that whole sequence. It was so good.
I knew that you would.
Dude, that is, I mean, obviously The Walking Dead, right, like is a big deal, I guess. It's become a pop culture phenomenon, but I always felt like Invincible was Robert Kirkman's best comic. I have all of them in like hardback.
Walking Dead RPG.
Yeah,
Recent Kickstarter.
Carl.
It's a I don't know. It gets pretty fucked up. I think there's a lot of fucked up stuff that happens in the comic that
Invincible?
they probably will not be able to do on the show. Yeah, in
Yeah,
Invincible.
I mean, some parts of it already have been pretty fucked up.
Yeah, they don't. He doesn't pull any punches. But yeah, I like that series a lot. I'm a big Invincible
J.K.
fan.
Simmons is killing it as Omni-Man as well.
He's so good.
His
Yeah.
appearance as Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat is also amazing.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Well, they've just added Homelander to Mortal Kombat now as well this week.
No, really.
Yeah.
Omni-Man versus Homelander's got to be some real shit right there. I have to say, I'm pretty sure Omni-Man will just fucking dumpster.
Absolutely annihilate Homeland.
Someone's animated. There's like a 5-minute animation of Omni-Man
Of them
fighting
fighting?
Homelander on YouTube. Yeah, it's great. It's
I
really
do
well
not
done.
think it would take 5
yeah,
minutes.
it's gonna take 5 seconds.
Yeah. Oh no, there's some banter first. So
I've seen the like
say, is
Superman
there,
versus
is it Death Battle?
Homelander versus Omni-Man conversations on the internet.
Superman.
Which Andrew?
I was gonna say, wasn't it? It's Death Battle. They do this whole like Omni-Man.
I've seen their
versus
stuff before.
Homelander. Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's 3 minutes and 3 seconds of fight.
3 minutes too long. Omni-Man would just do the old Voltron karate chop. One time, I feel like.
I feel like his most common move is to just fly through his opponent at high speed and just leave a bloody mess there. Like,
Did you finish season 2?
I think so. I got to like the Adam Eve special episode or whatever.
Okay, yeah. Which is also a good episode. I liked it.
I think so. There were parts of season 2 that were very weird. Pretty much everything with Rex. He's really moving down like this weird story path now.
Yeah. He's that's definitely Kirkman's kink with that series is like redemption. Like he constantly constantly pushes characters as far as he can and then attempts to redeem them. And like each character, each new villain is more morally reprehensible than the last, and then is attempted to be redeemed. Like he's definitely it kind of the show has this like
Dragon Ball Z, yeah.
Yeah, it's like this cyclic redemption sort of storyline, and like I don't know, it's interesting in an auteur way. It's kind of like, you as the audience decide like which of these. Which out of this menu of redemptions is plausible and forgivable and what's not? And it makes you kind of like, I don't know. It's an interesting thought experience. I don't know if the show's going to handle it as well as the comic book does, but it's just an interesting thought experience when you get in experiment, when you get into like, what is forgivable? What can redemption accomplish? What can it not accomplish? How good of a deed does it take to show adequate development from a terrible past deed? Like it definitely, and it's definitely, I don't know, for me reading the book, it was definitely like, yeah, some of these redemptions are being pushed to me as like, this character is now a good guy, but they're still like, it's still, you can't buy it. You can't like, it's not that you can't buy it. It's that you can't like accept it. Right. You're like, nope, will always be a villain to me. No matter how pure or good your acts are now, like, you should still be,
Critical Role Campaign 2, Essek Thalis.
Yeah.
Everyone treating him like he's some sort of sad boy when in fact he's a genocidal maniac that kicked off at least one, possibly 2 wars.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the story a lot due to those sort of middle hoops that it beckons you to jump through.
Well, Amazon Prime has definitely made things. They've made a lot of series that exist, and their animated wing has been better than I expected. And I haven't talked to anyone about this yet, but I am so deeply concerned that all of the recent Mighty Nine reunion stuff lately have had Ford being like a weird, like he was at the end of Mighty Nine, like a weird, dopey, sidekicky type character, rather than the kind of more serious guy he started out with. And I am deeply concerned that they're gonna start his whole storyline with him like that. Like he's not gonna get there. He's just gonna be.
He definitely slides towards Grog near the end of like the whole thing.
And that's what I'm worried about.
Which is unfortunate.
Is that they're gonna rewrite the script to let him be comedic rather than sort of noble at the beginning.
That'd be too bad because he was really the pillar of that group for the first probably 2/3 of that series.
Yes, I would easily say 3/4 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that.
Liam specifically went out of his way in the second campaign to be like, okay, guys, I shouldn't be the responsible one that has to make everyone behave and get us back on track. And then he ended up having to do it half the time. I mean, he very famously offered up the dodecahedron to the queen and such, but my understanding is that in campaign 3, Liam made a promise to not bring the party together and let them do whatever dumbass hijinks they want, and that is probably most of why I've been driven away, is they truly do not have anyone to stop them from acting like dumbasses all the time.
Yeah, no, Liam's one of my favorite players, but he's got like probably the least interesting character on the show.
Right now, Orem?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just a sad boy who's like, you know what I love?
Less.
Pie. And that's the only character trait I have. Loves pie, is gay.
And
That's it. That's my whole thing. I got nothing else going on.
Yeah. Amazon Prime's in my bad books right now.
Ooh, what did they do to you?
I don't know if they did. They just announced here from next month they're going into an ad-based service, and if you don't want ads, you have to pay more.
Yeah,
like Netflix.
I'm pretty sure we've always had that here, but all right.
Yeah, Netflix brought in a here is a cheaper service which has ads, or you can stay with your current level which doesn't. But Amazon's gone the other way of saying if you don't pay more, you will now get ads. It's like just do it the other way. Do it as the current version is ad free, and then a month later you go, I'm having a price rise for all our plans.
What we really need is a single streaming service where you can watch any licensable content possible, like some sort of online version of Netflix. We could call it Netflix, and it would go back to being as good as it used to be, and everyone would get their fucking fingers off the internet.
We could call it Pirates Bay, and it would just be free.
Wow.
You could just get whatever you wanted.
Relax, dude. Relax. Wow.
You could pay a monthly subscription of $0.
Amazing. Is there anything else we'd like to say while we're still on the fucking record here?
I love that we just had a mini intro hour at the end of your show, even though you've canceled the intro hour.
Show.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna have your intro hour fixed, Rad. If this is what it takes to get
I just want to talk to my homies about stuff that I like.
I mean, if this is what it takes to get you to come to Battletech, is permanently canceling intro hour to hold you hostage.
It's just to make you talk to me. I was like, I'll be on a show, Arthur, but you got to bullshit with me for 35 minutes every time, or else.
I want a show where we never actually play.
Yeah.
I don't want to start with making characters or roles.
Hold on, we already did that on the time of Total Warfare. We had the
I want to
episode
complain about how slow my progression in this game is, but I also want to eat up like 40% of our time, which is fucking nonsense. Talking about hot dogs and hot cross buns. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if we had the hot cross buns discussion on camera, but I really hope we did. I really
it was the middle of the episode, wasn't it?
Okay,
Maybe it wasn't.
Okay.
I mean, I remember doing, like, when I was running Road Trader on this channel, like, we were doing 4-hour shows back then, but I was planning for the first 40 minutes and the last 40 minutes to be just shit talk, so.
Yeah.
We played for like 2 hours. No, we probably didn't actually play for 2 hours. We probably played for like an hour and a half.
Today?
Yeah.
We have an hour and 48 minutes runtime right now.
Okay. Yeah, then we've
easily spent 20 minutes post-episode talking.
We came to a good endpoint, though.
Yeah, that's right. We came to a point where I think that it would have been silly to try. We would have been trying to just create content to fill when there was no content required.
So let me ask you this, Arthur. You've got your plate's full. I'm not trying to ask you to do more for me, but if you were ever interested,
let me just be clear for the audience here. I created this fucking show
for
you.
Let's ignore that for a minute.
What else would you like to ask?
Let's talk about what else you could do for me. Okay. What have you done for me lately, other than this episode?
This show right now.
All
You're currently on. Listen, this is Stephen Colbert behavior right here. Okay.
I know. I know you want to do Worlds Without Number. If you
do.
want to do if you ever want to do like a one shot of that, I'd be interested in learning more about that system
Okay.
and more of what the Without Numbers system has to offer other than just skill checks.
My
So I
favorite,
know that's
skill
not on your
checks.
plate. Yeah, I know
It could
that's
be
not on your
sometime.
plate.
Yeah.
But if you're ever interested in it, I would be interested in being involved in it
All right.
and playing in it because
My near full-time non-Victoria 3 creative endeavors are researching communism and getting the Speculatores campaign into something functional before I run out of enthusiasm.
I feel you on that one.
Just to be clear, I know Genesis was mentioned earlier, and I just want to say I started a Battletech Genesis thing, and then I talked to my audience about it, and 3 different people wanted to go in different directions with it, and I was like, I can't resolve this. I've lost all enthusiasm
Yeah.
whatsoever.
I've tried Genesis a couple times and come up with similar results. It's a lot of work, I feel
Genesis,
like.
but making Genesis work with Battletech is very difficult.
Just having to the challenge of coming up with the skill trees to fit whatever your setting is, it's kind of daunting, to be honest. And that's where every time I've tried to use it, that's where I've run out of gas. Is I had big ideas, overly ambitious ideas probably, of all these custom skill trees that I was going to make for classes that people could use. And then I've run out of gas about a third of the way into
Funny
it,
you were
honestly.
an award-winning game designer.
Yeah, if only.
I'll never
That's
forget
also-
my award-winning game designer #1, John Harper, saying, "Imagine something really cool in front of 1,000 people." When he was asked to describe what was happening.
Amazing. First of all, it's awesome. Second of all, refer to first of all.
Okay, any closing thoughts to our closing thoughts?
Nah.
Subscribe. Smash that button.
Smash the buttons. Smash and ring the
Patreon.
buttons.
You get that first look at this episode that you can lord over all the peasants who don't subscribe.
I kind of draw a series.
If you're not Patreon and you're watching this episode now, know that the mech battle has already been resolved and you haven't seen it because you have not hurried up the money to support the channel you love.
We don't even know if we're going to be back next week.
We're not.
I know. I know what's going to happen. So I'm just
We're
saying.
not going to be back next
Okay,
week.
you're really
Yes.
you're stretching so hard on this one.
I'm going to be in Colorado Springs next week.
James, I'm for sure behind most of your plays where you try to sales on people, but I don't think you could sell that one.
I was gonna say I need to do a series of art for thumbnails that's just different mechs doing like YouTube thumbnail expressions.
You gotta have the Mr. Beast mech thumbnail.
Yeah.
Whoever takes their hand off this mech last gets to keep it. It's a charger, and no one puts their hand on it.
Yeah.
Incredible. All right, that's it, audience. I'm gonna wrap up before we spend another 20 minutes talking about Star Wars.